And let's talk about more basketball because round two of the playoffs is going on right now. And now, if you watched any of round one, which if you didn't, I feel really bad for you because that was a once in a lifetime round one. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports ever. You had 6 of the 8 series go to game sevens. No, I'm sorry, 5 of the 8 series go to game sevens. The six went to a 6 game series, and then you had the sweep by the Heat and 4-1 win by the Wizards. But I mean, that is spectacular. On last Saturday, you had 3 game sevens. 3 game sevens back to back. And then on Sunday, you had 2 more. I mean, what more can you ask for as an NBA fan? Now, a lot of people were looking at this saying, oh, what's going to happen? The big franchises aren't there. The Boston, the New York Knicks, the LA Lakers, they all missed the playoffs. Those are 3 of the biggest franchises with some of the biggest support bases out there. They didn't make the playoffs. And people were worried that the ratings were going to tank. No. It jumped up about 19 points from this time last year. So one of the most spectacular round ones. And here's looking for another great round two. And it's already started off pretty good because a couple of the road teams have already won. A couple of the home teams have already won. Let's catch up. Let's start. I say we start.
Before you get into that, I would also like to point out, like, we didn't have that high of hopes of this kind of competitiveness, especially, like, we were looking at the East, for instance, and how it was so lopsided getting into the playoffs. You had teams with poor records for getting into the playoffs and teams that had amazing records. We didn't think that there'd be a lot of action there. The Wizards was kind of an upset, doing as well as they did,
huge.
And they were one of the not. Obviously, they swept things very well.
Yeah, they did excellent. I mean, you look at the 38-44 Atlanta Hawks, took the number 1 seed Pacers all the way to 7 games. I mean, who expected that? Nobody. You had the Dallas Mavericks, good team, great team in the East, but good team in the West, take the Spurs, who had a spectacular year, to 7 games. Nobody expected that. I mean, you had a lot of just series that nobody expected. Nobody expected the 4-1 Wizards win. If you had said that the Bulls-Wizards series was 4-1, everybody would have said that the Bulls won it 4-1. And to be honest with you, I would have said the same thing. I'm a homer. I love the Wizards. I would have said the exact same thing, that no chance the Wizards, if they win in 7. They don't win in 5. So that was pretty cool. And you know what I forgot to throw out there?
What did you forget?
Very important thing. I forgot to tell you how to hit us up. Because you want to hit us up, right? We want you to hit us up. So this is what you do. You go to @WordsForMyFace on Twitter, wordsformyface@gmail.com, wordsformyface.com. You can comments down below. We have a little QA section up. I actually look at it from time to time during the show. I don't really say anything during the show because it would be a little awkward for me to type and talk. So I haven't quite mastered that yet. But
we could answer the questions by talking.
I'll tell you what. First one up, you get a 5-minute answer. Yeah, that's right. I don't care if it's a yes or no question. 5-minute answer. It's for you.
That might be a little excessive, but
if you want a shorter answer, just let me know. I'll do a shorter answer if you want me to do a shorter answer. But first question up on there gets a great answer. But yeah, so hit us up on all those spots. Tell us why you think Kevin Durant deserves the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the War of the Week. And if you say he didn't deserve it, we're just going to ignore that because that's how we roll. But let's roll over to round 2 of the NBA playoffs. And so the first matchup I want to talk about is the Spurs versus the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers were one of the series that did not make it to 7. They actually only made it to 6, but it was a great 6 games. I don't know if you watched it or not, but the Houston Rockets against the Trailblazers was just good game after good game, overtime, right last-second shots, probably the shot of the playoffs so far. Damian Lillard's 3-pointer to win against the Trailblazers was there. Now, the Spurs, they kind of play a little more bland style of basketball. Not to say it's not entertaining, not to say it's not good basketball, but it's a little more bland. I mean, you just don't have the high flyers like you do in some of the other teams. But really, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some of the best matchups to watch. Really, you watch these two guys go at it, you'll really see where the series is going to go because pretty much they kind of control the flow of their teams. And so the first matchup with the Trailblazers versus Spurs is going to be Tony Parker versus Damian Lillard. Like I said before, Damian Lillard, very young guy. I believe he might be a rookie this year. He had the shot of the playoffs. I mean, so far. He had this crazy fadeaway 3-point shot that's kind of sealed, I believe it was Game 5. And then you have Tony Parker. This guy is like 33, 34 years old. but he's won 4 championships. I mean, this guy knows how to win. So you have an old vet against a young up-and-comer. Very interesting to see. Now, Lillard has the speed. He has more the athleticism. But Parker definitely has the smarts and the know-how. And you know what? That old guy can still shoot. I don't care. He's got a mean crossover. If you get too close to him, you don't give him enough space, he'll blow right past you. You get too close to him.
There were matchups like this in the last round, too. You were mentioning week ago that there were a couple matchups like that. There was a young up-and-coming player against these very seasoned veterans, and that playoff. And obviously you're going to see that often enough. But given what happened with the last round, do you think that we're going to see even more like close competitiveness? Like first round, you don't expect as much competitiveness as we did see last round. Do you think we're going to see similar matchups? Do you think it's going to be a toss-up?
Well, it's gonna hopefully it just gets better. I mean, that's what you hope. You hope that they whittle down the field. A little better teams are advancing, and hopefully we'll see just as good of a matchup. But you can't really predict that, unfortunately, because one team could take a night off and then lose all momentum for the series and just be blown out for the rest of the time. So, but in Game 1 of the Spurs versus Trailblazers, you did have Tony Parker score 33 points, and they did win by like 20. So that series is a 1-0 Spurs lead. And I do predict that one going 7 games because the Spurs are great at home court, but so are the Trailblazers. And I could see the Trailblazers stealing one in San Antonio, but I could also see the Spurs stealing one right back up in Portland. So I'm really excited about this. LaMarcus Aldridge is matching up with Tim Duncan as well. Now, I didn't really highlight this one as the key matchup. I still think the key matchup is going to be Lillard versus Parker. But this is good. That's also going to be a fun one to watch because you have a high flyer in LaMarcus Aldridge and you have the big fundamental in Tim Duncan. So you're going to see the two contrasting styles. Which style is better? Which style is worse? That's really up for interpretation. But it should be entertaining nonetheless.
So yeah, a bunch of great matchups coming up.
Yeah.
In general, this is turning out to be a great playoffs. Hopefully, as long as things continue the way they've been going. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And let's just move on to the next matchup, and that is the Thunder versus the Clippers. Now, this is probably the matchup to watch. If you're not going to watch any of the other games, watch these because this is probably the most exciting matchup. You have two of the highest-powered offenses in the league button head-to-head. So you're just going to see points and points galore. The series is already 1-0 with the Thunder winning the first game, and they won it by about... Actually, no, I'm sorry. The series is 1-1 with each team winning one. So the Clippers already stole one in Oklahoma City, but the night after Kevin Durant got the MVP, him and Russell Westbrook kind of came out and had triple-doubles. So now Kevin Durant was actually 1 assist away from a triple-double that one, but you had Kevin Durant score 32, something like 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and then you had Russell Westbrook score 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. So, I mean, it's just when those guys get going, there's really nobody who can stop them. The only people who can really compete with them are the other two guys on the other side of the floor, which is Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. You have two other guys who are almost unstoppable when they're on their game. So the real matchup to watch here, though,
and of course we know who Brian favors here.
I mean, I didn't think I needed to say it again. I didn't think I needed to repeat that. But if you don't know, I love Kevin. That's the eyeball close-up. I'm calling that one.
We can't even hear you at this point. He's just
but I just wanted to show you my eyeball
for where he is.
yes, I'm looking at you, Kevin. But the matchups to watch here is
just a little.
Just a tiny bit, but
it's all good fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Stalking.
So the real matchups you want to watch here is Russell Westbrook versus Chris Paul. You have two of the best point guards in the league. Now, I don't really consider Russell Westbrook as much of a pure point guard as Chris Paul is. He's more of a scoring point guard, but when he's dropping numbers like the triple-double the other night, he's playing pretty well. And it seems like that acceptance speech that Kevin Durant not only invigorated Kevin Durant, but invigorated that whole team because they lost the first game, then they came back out and whooped the Clippers by 20. So that's pretty interesting. But you're really going to see wherever Chris Paul, if he starts really asserting himself on the floor, in my opinion, he's the best point guard this year. In my opinion. John Wall's coming up. You have other people like Connolly. You have Darren Williams, other good players at point guard. Damian Lillard, can't forget him. But my opinion for the best point guard right now is going to be Chris Paul. So you're really going to see him get other people involved, and the main person he's got to get involved is Blake Griffin, because Blake Griffin is such a beast. They do not have anybody on the Thunder that can guard him. Not Kendrick Perkins, not Serge Ibaka. Doesn't matter who they throw at him. If he's on his game, he's going to take him out. But that being said, there's another guy that if he's on his game, nobody can touch.
It seems like there's a lot of guys that on their game no one can touch.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stars in the NBA. And that's Kevin Durant. I didn't think I need to say it again, but I just did it anyway. Hey, we love Kevin Durant here at Words to My Face. We do. Love him a lot. But so tell me, and I believe Oklahoma City will win this series, but in 7 games. So why don't you people tell us who you think is going to win each series, who the matchups you're looking forward to watching are, at Words to My Face on Twitter, wordstomyface@gmail.com, of course, wordstomyface.com. I mean, you can always go to the website directly. I mean, just go ahead past all the middlemen and go right there. Google Plus. Yeah, we have Google Plus. And comments below. You can like and subscribe too. I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody if you're watching on YouTube.
That's right. That's right. We love you if you're watching on YouTube. In fact, that's probably where most people are watching it. So, go ahead. There's a little like button. Just click it.
Click it. Maybe, and the subscribe button right next to it. Just right next to it. Check that off. Check that off the list. I promise you, it will not hurt you. We will not send you spam. All you'll get is great videos from us.
Yeah, we're not desperate at all.
Not at all.
Just say it.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Not any desperation here. But let's move on to the next matchups, and that'll be on the eastern side of things. The first matchup I want to talk about is the Heat versus the Nets. Now, everybody was saying coming into this that the only team in the East that could really challenge the Heat was going to be the Nets, because they had the veterans. They had the Paul Pierce. They had the Kevin Garnett. These are guys that have actually beaten LeBron James and his trio of guys to go to the championship. So everybody thought that, hey, you know what? They got Deron Williams. They got Joe Johnson. They got Paul Pierce. They got Kevin Garnett. Who can beat them? Well, Kevin Garnett is like 37, 38 years old. Now, that's not old in human years, but in basketball years, it's like a million. It's just
because basketball players are not humans.
No, not at all. Mm-mm. Genetically engineered. Genetically engineered. Not to last very long, but genetically engineered.
Unlike Chewbacca.
Well, Chewbacca kind of lives forever, because that's why he was from a galaxy far, far away, long, long ago. So
he's kind of been around for, I don't know,
don't ask him his age. He does not like that. I mean, let's keep it down. Chewbacca might hear us talking about his age. He doesn't. Not a fan.
That's right.
But actually, he's not even here. He's hanging out with Katie right now, so we don't gotta worry. But so yeah, as I got sidetracked. So you have the big matchups in this one is really going to be LeBron James versus Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson is their pure scorer. That's the guy they gave the max contract to for some reason. I still haven't figured out why. He's a great scorer. He's 6'8" shooting guard, so he's very versatile. He's not the greatest defender. And now, if you were going to match up shooting guard to shooting guard, he would really be against Dwayne Wade. But what you're going to see, and I guarantee this is what you're going to see, you're going to see LeBron James defending him on defense, because LeBron James, like 6'8", way better athlete, more versatile, the better scorer. I mean, he can win Defensive Player of the Year every year, and I wouldn't really complain about it, because LeBron James' defense is just that good. So you're going to see that happening. And really, the only way that the Heat don't crush is if LeBron James decides to take the series off. Because without LeBron James, I think that they're not a very good team. Well, they're a good team still, but they're not championship level. And the Nets could actually probably expose some weaknesses. But when you put a guy like LeBron James in the mix, who's so versatile, who can cover the point guard, who can cover the shooting guard, who can cover the small forward, who can cover the power forward, hell, I'd even put him on a center if I needed to. So you're really going to see that guy really take off. And that's really going to be the key matchup, is going to be Joe Johnson, if he can get his points against LeBron James's defense. And that's because LeBron James is going to get his points no matter what. So is Dwayne Wade, so is Chris Bosh. You know, those guys, they do what they do. That's why they are where they are. And yeah.
Well, they're all in the playoffs right now, so hopefully
and two-time defending champions too. So you're going to see that going. And one other thing I wanted to mention, and this is, can we give a round of applause to LeBron?
To LeBron James?
I know it's weird. I never give LeBron a round of applause.
All right. First time ever.
He is the youngest player in NBA history to score 4,000 playoff points.
4,000?
4,000 playoff points. So yeah, that's a good achievement. That's a pretty good achievement.
How old is he now?
He's a year older than me, so 29.
Okay.
But you got to think
so
that.
How many years has he been in the playoffs? How many years in a row?
In a row, I'd say he's been in the playoffs probably about 6-7 years in a row. Not all those times did he get out of the second round. I think every time he's been in the playoffs, he's made it to the second round, but he hasn't always gotten out of the second round, and he hasn't always made it to the finals either. So, that's pretty good. That's probably, you're looking at like 50 to 75 games. He scored 4,000 points, so not too bad.
Yeah, that's pretty
not
good.
Too shabby.
Some players don't do 4,000 points in their entire career, so.
Yeah. My career ended with only 0 points. It also ended with 0 minutes and 0 rebounds and 0 assists. But hey, so,
there's always next year.
There's always next year. I'm gonna go back. We got this new equipment over here. I'm gonna go train, and you're gonna see me when I get really close to the camera. I'm still playing around with the camera, so you have to excuse me. I haven't really figured out how to adjust myself to it quite yet.
Yeah, I think the camera's going a little bit choppy right now, but it's a bandwidth thing. Sometimes you get some choppy video.
It happens. It happens. Let's move it on to the last playoff matchup. And again, I'm a homer. Love this crew. The Washington Wizards are playing the Indiana Pacers. Now, this is the 1 versus 5. And you saw it's already been 2 games in, and it is a 1-1 series. The Wizards came out in the first game and really just dominated the whole time because Roy Hibbert decided he didn't want to show up. In a total of like 17 minutes or 20 minutes, he had 0 points and 0 rebounds. So not so great. When Hibbert doesn't show up, they're not doing so well. And then in the second game, Hibbert decided, I kind of want to play today, and came out and scored 28 points. And had 9 rebounds. So Wizards lost the second one, won the first one. So you're really going to see the way Hibbert goes is the way this series goes. If Hibbert decides he doesn't want to show up for 4 of the games, the Wizards are going to win 4 games and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. If he decides he wants to show up for 4 games, then the Wizards will probably lose and the Pacers will move on to the finals. So that's really where it's going. That actually wasn't my original matchup. My big matchup was actually Trevor Ariza versus Paul George, because Paul George is their bona fide superstar. That is the guy who they rely on. He averaged something like 23 points so far over the regular season. I believe he's been held to a total of 26 in 2 games. So Trevor Ariza doing an excellent job on defense there. And really, this is the maturation process of John Wall and Bradley Beal. So even if they don't quite make it out of this round, but they show the life, Bradley Beal's already done it. John Wall had a bad game last game, but, it's first time in the playoffs, first time in the second round. It's excusable. And so we're really going to see those guys mature and grow up, and hopefully they'll grow up well.
Yeah, we can always hope. But if how the series has been going so far, how the playoffs have been going so far, we should see continued good matchups. The Wizards were one of the biggest upsets of their last one. They swept their last round, but everyone else has been doing so well. So we would, and it's already what you said, 1-1. So we'll see if they still have a chance to go another 4-1. Right?
You never know. Yeah, it's true. You never know. I mean, they're coming home tomorrow night. They'll be in Washington for the next 2 games. And so you never know. They could do it.
They could. We'll see.
That is the NBA playoffs for you. Enjoy round 2 just as much as I enjoyed round 1. And who knows, if round 2 is even better, then the finals are going to be even better. Then the championship's going to be even better. Oh, I'm just so excited. I know, that was a weird way to say it. Yay, bubbly, yay! Well, my head kind of is a little slower behind that. Oh, thanks for the clap.